Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Janelle Slade. Are Montana students making the grade?
New numbers surrounding Montana's standardized test scores show no real improvement from year to year for students across the state.
While scores put Montana students ahead of the national average, results are still trending down.
Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Andrea Lutz with a look at tonight's MTN Investigates.
While school districts all across our state take part in a variety of school-specific standardized testing, there's one test that's mandated in almost every district. It's called the Smarter Balanced Assessment. The federal government gives Montana federal dollars, and in return, teachers are asked to administer these tests with results to report back with. But how impactful is the assessment for teachers and students? Recent data is showing it might not be. Through the course of this investigation, I'll show you the most recent test results for Montana students, and the scores appear low. How long has Montana used this method, and what are those at the Montana Office of Public Instruction doing about them? I spoke with Superintendent Elsie Arnson, who says there's work to be done to get these scores higher.
We have to say, this isn't right. This isn't appropriate. There's a problem. We're not going to shuffle this one under the bed. We're going to make sure that we put a bright light on it. We have to shout this thing out.
And while OPI says the standard for these proficiency tests is challenging, they don't necessarily directly translate to grade level performance. One parent is going to weigh in on that. Tonight at 10, watch for my MTN investigation, Making the Grade. Back to you.
And again, Andrea's investigation airs tonight at 10 on Q2. The story is also available to read right now at KTVQ.com.
Well, police tonight tell us the latest two shootings in Billings were not related, were not random, and no suspects are in custody. Billings Police Lieutenant Brendan Woolley tells Q2 that detectives are still trying to track down suspects in yesterday's early morning shooting that sent a 17-year-old boy to the hospital. Now, that boy was shot twice through a front window of this home on the 1000 block of North 25th Street. His wounds were not life-threatening. Now, witnesses say they saw two suspects flee the scene. And Billings detectives also searching for the suspect involved in a shooting just 2 days earlier. Lieutenant Woolley tells us tonight the 44-year-old woman was from Colstrip. She was shot on Saturday in the area of 7th Avenue South and South 27th Street. Police on scene also telling us her injuries appeared non-life-threatening. Again, Lieutenant Woolley tells us both of these shootings were not random.
Today, a U.S. Senate committee advanced a bill to fully fund a popular conservation program, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, something both of Montana's U.S. senators have been fighting for. The Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee voted 13-7 for the bill that fully funds the program at $900 million a year. That's more than twice the amount that it's been funded at during the past 3 years. Now, Steve Daines, a Republican on the panel, said the bipartisan committee vote is a good sign that funding may actually pass Congress and get to President Trump's desk. The Land and Water Conservation Fund helps finance everything from fishing access sites to city park projects. Daines says the broad scope is one of the reasons the program has plenty of bipartisan support.
The outcomes that we see here, by and large, are widely supported across Montana at the grassroots level. Sometimes this is ballparks, it's playgrounds, it's parks within some of our cities in Montana. And so the unique fact about the Land and Water Conservation Fund is that it's very, very diverse. More often than not, you get strong grassroots support for these projects. Really, they're truly bottoms-up kind of driven support.
Well, the committee also passed out a bill to fund maintenance backlogs in national parks.
Two escaped bison were struck and killed by a truck near Stevensville last night after a gate at a ranch got left open.
And the owner believes that someone released the animals on purpose. Now, about 30 bison wandered nearby streets early yesterday evening, and around 6 o'clock, a passing truck slammed into two of those animals. One died on the scene. The other suffered a broken leg and had to be killed later.
The driver was not injured, but the impact totaled his truck. The rest of the bison were wrangled back into the ranch by midnight.
All right, Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joining us now for a first look at the forecast. And Bob, it sounds like our weather is about to take another turn.
Yeah, well, that's winter's right around the corner. And let me show you what's happening out there right now. Doppler radar shows you the moisture streaming out of the southwest and kind of arching over Billings and heading up towards the Great Falls in the Glasgow area. And so as you see here, because of that, we still have the winter weather advisory for much of the western part of the state. 1 to 3 inches of snow in the valleys over there by Kalispell to Missoula and down to Butte, and maybe up to 6 inches of snow up in the high elevations. Along the high line, that's a winter storm warning. Could see 5 to 8 inches of snow up there, 1 to 5 inches of snow around Havre with some icy roads in that area, and 2 to 4 inches of snow and wintry conditions across the rest of northeastern Montana. Here's the way it looks in Great Falls right now. As you see, the snow is starting to fall, and here's the way it looks at Browning. Yeah, the snow is falling up there right now. That's fresh snow. What about the McDonald Pass? Yeah, that's a little snowy up there as well, and all those snow showers are forecast to push their way down in towards south central Montana. But now here's the kicker. It could kind of do a pirouette around the Billings area. We may just get a couple of flurries out of it. We'll have more about that in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Well, there's only one high school cheerleader in the entire state of Montana who gets to march in this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
MTN's Cody Boyer sat down with Kelsey Myers of Manhattan and has her story.
I am beyond excited. There's no words.
It's a dream that senior Kelsey Myers has had since forever.
I had watched the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade since, I could remember. Always grew up watching it, and I was like, that'd be so cool to be in that one day.
Last year, joining more than 550 other cheerleaders from across the country, the Manhattan native took the Big Apple in style. That's her, somewhere in that sea of pink uniforms and green pom-poms.
It was amazing just being in New York City, coming from a small town. It was overwhelming the first couple of days, but I love it now, and I'm so excited to go back.
It's called Spirit of America, bringing together cheerleaders for a week of intensive 9-hour day training sessions, and Kelsey tackles them with a smile.
Yeah, I saw Diana Ross, Ashley Tisdale from High School Musical. It's an honor.
Kelsey comes from a small town, Manhattan, of course, and at the same time, she never thought she'd get to do this once, let alone twice. Now she gets to do both, and the experiences alone, she's going into them humbly.
They're always so supportive and just wishing me good luck.
Kelsey means her entire team and others, even her principal.
She came in the beginning of the school year and wanted a way to recognize all kids. Not just one segment of kids, but all kids.
Her principal adds it's that same humbleness that makes Kelsey the perfect Manhattan rep.
Kelsey's heart and compassion is going to take her far.
Those traits already have. As for Kelsey, she leaves Thursday morning. So while she's missing states, she's rooting from afar.
I'll definitely be cheering on our football boys from New York City. Follow your dreams. Just get out there and do what you want to do.
In Manhattan, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Great story. Thanks, Cody.
Well, there's more news from across our state tonight. Another scary moment on the University of Montana campus, where a student reports being followed by a person with a weapon just 3 weeks after a similar incident there on campus. Join me for that story and much more on the MTN Statewide News at 9 on the CW.
But first, on tonight's Q2 530 News, if the gray skies have you feeling a little blue, you are not alone, and there's a reason behind it. We'll show you.
And later in sports, Scott shows us why Montana State's punter may be its most effective weapon Saturday against the Grizz.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 530 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.